Dr. K-Man says, so it must be true. One thing I teach my students is I don't want you to ever say K-Man says as an element of proof to prove a point. What I want you to do is do your own research, find all the information you can about the particular topic from an unbiased point of view, from a scientific point of view, from a factual point of view, read it all and come up with your own conclusion, opinion and belief, because at least it's founded on your research, not someone else's opinion, because a lot of people become an expert in other people's opinion. I'm not here to teach my students what to think, I'm here to teach them how to think. One of my students contacted me just recently and says, have you heard of Dr. So-and-so who's written this book of blah blah, and they're doing these seminars, and what do you think of their teachings or their points? And I said, yeah, I remember that person from a number of decades ago. And what's interesting is that when you look at that information that particular doctor is preaching, there's a lot of vested interest in what he's saying. So even though he sounds very convincing and he has a doctor before his name, which means everything must be truthful, right? Not necessarily so, because one thing that he does do, he promotes that you need to supplement your diet with these certain supplements because the foods are depleted and the soils are depleted and it's a doomsday event. You have to get all these supplementations, and if it's out of whack then your body comes out of whack and you blah blah blah. So all these painful things could happen to you, but the solution's in a pill. So yes, he presented his selection of research to back up his opinion, but probably neglected all the other research, but just got the research that backed up his opinion to make a point to sell his supplement, which is a part of a multi-level supplementation business. So yes, he used his title and his ability to speak, and he used his selection of research to prove a point, to move people's emotions, and a lot of people do that. So what I want you to do as a fitness professional is to not necessarily believe a person or a book. I want you to find all the information, and if you can, dig into the places that will have probably less vested opinions. For example, in response to the students, I sent him a position statement by the American College of Sports Medicine, by the American Dietetic Association and the Dietitians of Canada, and a full review of nutrition and eating for athletic performance, which much of actually contradicted this particular doctor's opinion. But at least from the American College of Sports Medicine, it's not someone's opinion. It's a collection of probably over 100 people with PhDs in micronutrition, and they have to collectively look at all the research to come together with a position statement. So maybe if you need to find information about a topic of the diabetes or training pregnant women, or whether it be nutrition or whatever it might be, try to find the associations that don't have vested interest. They're not trying to sell you stuff. They're not selling you books and supplementation and pills and powders and potions. All they're trying to do is get the truth and deliver it in a position for their members, in a position statement for their members. For example, you can get position statements by the American College of Sports Medicine on lots of topics about sports medicine and exercise and training and nutrition. You can get position statements for the National Strength and Conditioning Association in America on a broad range of training for kids and training for adults and strength training and cardiovascular training, and it's all backed up by peer-review researched articles and publications, not someone's opinion because they're trying to push their view upon you. You can get position statements by the American Dietetic Association, the National Heart Foundation, Diabetes Australia, the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, the American Association for Cardiorespiratory and Pulmonary Rehabilitation. So yeah, find the reputable world-leading organisations or associations that have position statements that engage their experts, PhDs and above, to find the truth and put in a position statement. And they'll give you certain guidelines and points of view which are going to be more closer than the truth than one person, one doctor, one book, one documentary. Because remember, when someone does a documentary or produces a documentary or writes a book, they produce it or write it with an opinion in mind. That's why they wrote it, because they want to put their opinion to the world, and when they throw out their opinion, they're always trying to selectively back it up with as much facts as they can, but it's going to be called selective facts and not necessarily all the facts, and that would be no cow,